Welcome, age of vintage society. If there is anything that made Hollywood special among other players in global film productions, it's her ability to harness a diversity of talents. It's on this multiplicity that beautiful and strong-spirited Sandra Milo tries to excel, and like many talented actresses, she soon discovers that the entertainment arena is not a place you can win by force. You need people around you, even if it means losing your guard and falling in love. But she says hers was a life lived in violent love that left her with a wound. Secret mistress for 17 years. How Sandra Milo found strength to stay in a relationship with Federico Fellini. I want you to know, my viewers, how much I appreciate you. Without your support, these videos wouldn't be possible. Thank you for those who hit the thanks button and for the Patreons. After I learned about Sandra Milo and her story in the movie industry, I always use her case to illustratively teach some folks a lesson about life, especially how luck is significant in life if one must succeed. Sandra Milo is a very unique lady full of ideas of what she wants her life and career to be like, and passionately worked towards that, perhaps her way. During the 1950s and up to the 1960s, this sparkling lady was at her best, but it seems her best was not good enough. Milo, with her natural dark hair, is one of the Tunisian leading ladies of her era. She was seen portraying fed-up aristocrats, at other times showing as cunning mistresses and the likes. Despite her natural beauty, which at some point was a selling point, her doggedness met criticisms that may have also affected her career. Her character was inclined towards tempting ladies of dubious morals with their usual sumptuous sparkle in several Italian and French movies. Things were rough in a sense for Milo, the reason she almost gave up on acting, until what I call her luck came through, her desired breakthrough. Milo would not hesitate to talk about her survival journey, a journey she had to overcome through faith and love. Almost everything she has ever done was things she believed were right. Her resilience in the face of danger had always pulled her through. This is what she means when she stated that she endured violent relationships for years, just so she could advance her dream and stay focused. Unless we can turn back the hands of time, we might never understand Sandra Milo's assertion that love and death have always been close to her as far as her relationship stories are concerned. Milo is a beautiful lady from a humble background. With a less catchy identity, she joined the Italian movie industry, and today we look back and say, that dazzling Italian actress. Sandra Milo will be best remembered for her partnership with the famous movie director Federico Fellini. Maybe I should add that their bond is made in heaven. It is the kind of collaboration that my religious friends would describe as the hand of God. After nearly a decade of appearing in many mediocre roles in mostly frivolous comedies, Milo thought it was over for her career and decided to settle down as a housewife. I hear that movie-related frustration forced her into marriage in 1961, mainly to retire from the unpalatable acting arena. But somewhere from the blue a man was interested in her talent. He believed in her. She may not have been an A-rated name, but Fellini, who watched her movies, knew she can deliver. That was it. At the appointed time, Milo was persuaded to give her career a second chance by returning to the screen. Thanks to Fellini, who cast her as the ruined Mistress Carla in his surreal production, 8½. Her act and the movie were greeted with euphoria, as critics later adjudged it a masterpiece. Unless you have been there before, you may not understand the kind of joy a breakthrough movie can provide for an underrated actress. An upcoming talent would be joyful, but for a career-minded lady like Milo, who had worked off and on in the industry with little or nothing to show for it, would be more than joyful that her name has finally entered the good book. Milo was catapulted upward by the film's success, as it earned her a silver ribbon for Best Supporting Actress from the Italian National Syndicate of Film Journalists. Her on-the-nose performance in that movie did very little in changing the image that had tainted her career. The public perception of her personality was an undoing, and so with little taste of fame she would try to survive the jinx. But the reality was that she had even more difficulty in finding inspiring roles thereafter. As a local adage posits, A man who believes in you would throw his weight on you regardless of how he falls. That might be just the case with Fellini and Milo, because he was not through with her yet. This time, unfortunately too, she collaborated with him in 1965 for Juliet of the Spirits. That production was Fellini's earliest colour filmmaking. The surrealist drama used Milo in 3 different roles. She appeared as the protagonist's erotic neighbour, identified as Susie. She was also the young circus performer that goes by the name of Fanny, and as well playing her 3rd role as the guiding spirit Iris. It was another great performance that saw Milo come 2nd in the Best Supporting Actress award capacity, and most of her fans were more like, what's next for the lady? Their curiosity came from the fact that her talent was still yet to be acknowledged by many prominent directors. Milo did what I always recommend to most of my friends. If it's not working, you try something new. Thus she took another break from acting. That should be in 1969, as if she has finally given up acting. But her die-hard spirit remains active and keenly monitored the industry. After about 10 years of silence, it is only natural that her youthful looks diminish, and so by the time she returned to acting, her designation shifted. She became very suitable for playing bad-tempered middle-aged women, a role she maintained in the subsequent years. Sometime in 2003, fans remarkably watched her act as a supporting character in Incantato, a lovely romantic movie, and I'm sure if given the opportunity she would still want to be in the movies regardless of her age. It's over 90 years for this lovely lady. She still recalls her struggles as an entertainer and other things that made her life worthwhile. "I lived violent relationships. I still carry the wounds," she was quoted as saying. Milo was born Salvatrice Elena Greco in Tunisia in 1933. Though highly respected as an Italian actress, she was also active as a television personality. Of course, her musical talent is evident in most of her songs. And just recently I heard that she has found a new love in writing and was said to have been seriously compiling her memoir. Not very much is known about her childhood. Her fans are hoping that by the time her autobiography is out, a lot would be clarified, and you are sure to be the first to hear about them. Milo made her film debut in 1955, appearing with Alberto Sordi in The Bachelor. Then she was 20 years of age, gorgeous and with promising career dreams. That production was like the tip of the iceberg as she changed her name from Salvatrice Greco to Sandra Milo, a sign she was ready to shine. And for the following years she let loose her sizzling beauty on several desirous male actors in many of the sassy comedies. There are also hostile patrons and stifling melodramas that defined her early days in movies. I still remember her role in Nero's Mistress and The Adventures of Arsène Lupin. I will not forget also one of my favourite films, The Mirror Has Two Faces, and Toto nella Luna, translated as Toto in the Moon, both produced in 1958. But her first prominent role came 4 years after her debut, following her connection with producer Maurice Ergas in General della Rovere, which was directed by Roberto Rossellini. Her relationship with Maurice Ergas was more than professional, as they two were married at the time. That union produced a daughter Deborah, and several issues came up with the marriage at some point, so it was almost impossible for her to continue in the marriage. When Rossellini cast Milo in his film Vanina Vanini, it was more of a disaster for Rossellini's career and that of Milo, as the film got a serious backlash, especially the harsh criticism at the Venice Festival, one of the things that affected Milo's career and the despair that once trailed her career life. Milo put up a beautiful outing in 1959 in the comedy potboiler The Green Mare, which also starred the famous French actor Bourvil. I still recall Milo anchoring a television program in the mid-1960s on an Italian TV station. But in all her career effort, Milo gives the impression that she only finds advantage in 2 of Fellini's greatest masterpieces, The 8½ and Juliet of the Spirits. Critics say she comes to life as the reserved Italian temptress through opposite Europe's most virile and zealous leading men, the likes of Vittorio Gassman, Marcello Mastroianni, Jean-Paul Belmondo and Jean Sorel, just to mention. The bond with Federico Fellini was remarkable for her career. Although she was initially reluctant when Fellini was beckoning on her to come, I guess she would be grateful that she made that decision to return. Almost everyone who saw her in 8½, agreed that she was still in her prime, as we saw her take on the role of the sensual and insecure lady friend opposite Marcello Mastroianni. Sadly, even after appearing in the second production, talking about Juliet of the Spirits, her subsequent movies left very little to be desired, as they were just second-rate films. Her affair with Fellini was also outstanding, and she loved it too, though he was married to another woman at the time. Talking about how it was with him, Milo once recalled with pleasure how she got dominated by his charm. If what she said is anything to go by, Milo was in a passionate affair with Fellini for an extended period of years. She gave the estimate of over 17 years that she served as his mistress, a period long enough to be a faithful wife. But no, they were never married. Almost everyone around at the time knew that they were into each other, although illicitly, because the director was married to Giulietta Massina. I'm not sure I understand when that relationship started, before or after he convinced her to appear in his production. Milo says, "He wanted me at 8½, came to see me in the dressing room, and what happened thereafter," she said. "He kissed me and I passed out. For real. I imagine she fell under his anointing. He thought she was a strong woman, but she surprised him with her reaction, prompting Fellini to say to her, 'What a baby, a woman like you that faints from a kiss.'" I guess Fellini did not understand what a passionate kiss can do to a desirous woman who may have yielded in admiration. How do I know about this? Of course there is no way I could read the mind of a woman in love, but we can only make an assumption based on what she says, and in this case Milo described Fellini as a powerful male charm, that she likened him to lightning. He was like lightning, but while lightning strikes fast and disappears, he never passed, suggesting that he remained relevant in her life for a long time, and the feeling may not die so soon regardless of her age. One may just call it an eternal love that the actress has for the director. Although now aged, she still struggles with a very solid feeling about him, as each time she thinks about Fellini she does so with joy and joy, according to her. And what about Giulietta Massini, who was the real wife to Fellini? Milo described her as a very intelligent lady, who understood the power of love, adding that she had a husband who was impossible to keep alone. Fellini, she suggested, was such a greedy man for life. In terms of his love life, he was so curious to know, to find out. He was loyal to no one, she stated. Sometime in 2006 she began a tour of Italy with a theatrical version of 8 Women. Sandra Milo remained vibrant with that usual charisma she has always shown on screen, even at her age. And she told the media how and what has always kept her going and so lively. She said she's not the type that drinks or smokes, not to talk of taking enhancement of drugs. "I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs," she joyfully declared. No wonder fans say she is the epitome of real womanhood. The only thing that has kept her going is that she has a way of doing the things she wants to do in life, things that give her joy. I almost always manage to do what I wanted, because it's good for the spirit and the body. In her opinion, if the spirit is serene, then every other thing about life is serene as well. Sandra Milo agreed that doing what one wants in life has its infinite price. It is easier to follow the great lines already drawn, but I was opposed to the lines. When I wanted something, I followed it to the end, regardless of the cost, using every means necessary. That is the faith that she used to accomplish so much for herself. At this time she is also enjoying the gift of an elderly life after surviving life and relationships that she said left her with wounds. In case you're not aware, Sandra Milo is one of those who lived many love lives, which sadly also left her devastated at some point. About her experiences, Milo said that, "In love I was always the bait, never the line, and I've always been a free spirit." Regrettably, this is the reason she said that while she tries to stay healthy in romantic life, love and death have always been close to her, extreme conditions that always result in violence. "And in my body I still carry the wounds of the consequences of past loves. I'm not a woman who holds a grudge," she was quoted. At this time she is intermittently shown on screen as a glamorous-looking blonde. A renowned Catholic faithful, Milo is an achiever. Her second marriage with Ottavio de Lollis produced 2 kids. which left her with 3 awesome children at the moment. But now it's time to turn our attention to another scandalous story from the golden age of Hollywood. Have you heard about Gloria Graham and her alleged affair with her stepson?